So, welcome, Vanessa. I'm so excited to share your talk. But before we play your talk, let's learn a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. I'm really excited to be on here as well. So I am the owner of Soul Revival Health and Fitness Coaching. I am a holistic healing coach. I am a mom to seven beautiful children, and as you guys will hear shortly, I have an amazing husband who has helped me on my journey as well. And I started my journey about 6 years ago now, and I'm so thankful for everything that it has taught me through the way.
And it sounds like a lot of it has evolved into some of these other like modalities that you provide. So, can you talk a little bit about, what is holistic healing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when people ask me that, I generally start them with like the most basic definition, which is an alternative to Western medicine practices. So the concept is just to kind of get back to basics, get back to nature, get back to really listening and being with ourselves, and taking away some of the noise that 2024 has brought us with, social medias, with, medications, with the quick fix ideas. It's just about existing in life one moment at a time and really feeling what that looks like and sounds like for the individual.
That's awesome. And some of the things that I show that you do are things like trauma release, breath work, human design, meditation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what all that entails?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to. Um, Holistic healing is, in my opinion, all encompassing. So we really want to tackle mind, body, and soul and what that looks like. So, along with me teaching my clients how to eat according to their own unique bodies, how to do fitness to their own unique bodies. I really specialize in women. So I teach women how to work out according to their menstrual cycles. And for women who are older, I teach them about how to work out post menopause. And I really take them through those kind of things. And then there's this bigger piece, which is our spirits and our emotional journeys. And a lot of times, what I have found for not only myself, but my clients is the physical comes after the spiritual and emotional healing. So when we really delve into trauma and when we delve into how to overcome even just our daily life challenges, that looks like doing meditation, practicing mindfulness, breath work is a really amazing opportunity to release some of the trauma that is stored in your physical body. So I give all of these different modalities. I give my clients the option of all of these different modalities because what works for one person may not work for the next person. So I want to be as educated and informed and certified in as many different opportunities as possible so that a woman can come to me and say, hey, I've tried mindfulness, I've tried meditation. What else do you have for me? And I'll say, great. Well, let's talk about human design or let's talk about breath work. Maybe we need to do yoga and we can do trauma release yoga. There's so many different things that we can offer clients and that's really what I'm here to do is continue growing and continue to learn about all of the different things that can heal our bodies and our minds and our spirits.
What I love about all of that and what you specifically focus on is kind of a study of one. It's not a one size fits all, which is what really the commercialized health and wellness has pushed on us. So can you talk a little bit about how did you get to that point to understand that, what's right for me to eat may not be what's right for you to eat and how you really gravitated to just the person seeing someone as a whole, as just them and not part of a group or a subgroup.
Yeah, so I'll do like the long story short version of it. But 6 years ago, when I started my healing journey, I had leapt on the bandwagon of the diet trends. And at the time, keto was a huge thing. And I jumped on keto and I lost 50 pounds. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And what happened was I stopped losing weight and I actually started gaining weight again. And I was like, hey, man, like, nothing's changed. I haven't strayed from this diet and I was very restrictive on myself for about 2 years. And I felt very lost and disconnected. And I was super fortunate to find somebody who did functional medicine. And what she taught me was that I needed to do something for my body type specifically, and that I had truly just gotten lucky with doing the keto diet because my body needed that sort of ratio and formula, but I was restricting myself so much that my body actually went into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And once I realized that there was like a whole different world out there, that functional medicine and holistic healing was a thing, I delved into it and I found my school. And in my school, they talked about metabolic typing. And it's just a really fancy way of saying that each one of us are uniquely made and designed, and we need to eat according to our ancestors and what we had the availability for way back in the day. So you're talking hundreds of years ago, wherever we came from, the food that was out there for them is the food that we should be consuming the most of. And once I delved into that world, I realized how truly different each and every person was, and why eating salads for lunch every day was just kicking my butt. And my husband can eat salads like no other. And he is so full and feels so great. And it's just because we have different metabolic typing. We need something totally different. He's from a complete opposite end of the world than what I was. And I realized that everybody needs to know this. And that's why it is such a huge passion of mine to be able to talk to as many people as possible to tell them, like, hey, it's not you. You know, when you get angry after a meal, it's not because you're this terrible person. It's because your physical body is responding to you not being able to provide the nourishment that it needs. So I got really, really fortunate with my journey because the universe put the right people in my life when I needed it the most, and I just kind of ran with it.
I love that. And speaking of keto, same thing. Like when I first did keto, I did great with it. But then menopause happened, and I'm like, oh, I'll go back on keto. Nothing, not even like a quarter of a pound was lost. So it just wasn't right for my body. So yeah,
Right.
your body changes, your diet has to
Hmm.
kind of phase with your body, I'm assuming. But
Absolutely.
I'd also love to dive into a little bit of who you are, because I know that you have some other things even outside of the holistic health world and the things that you do in your life and your personal life even. And I know you give a lot of credit to your husband, but like Vanessa, you're an amazing human being. Like I want people to see the Vanessa that I see. So can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you're really passionate about in your personal life and things that have, you taken on, like, fostering, and that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that this probably sounds really cheesy, but I genuinely believe that I was put onto this earth to help people. It fills my cup so much to be that that safety for someone. And I got into foster care about 6 years ago as well. And foster care has genuinely transformed my life in a way that I never thought imaginable. The kiddos that come into my home, they end up teaching me so much more than I could teach them. The resilience that these kids have, like their passion for life, their ability to shift and change and to overcome the trauma that they have experienced, it inspires me every single day. And children, like they're our future, right? There's such a life force that I wake up every morning and I go downstairs and I look at all of these beautiful faces, and there's nothing better than that. So yeah, I'm so thankful that I'm a foster parent. I'm thankful for all of the children that have come into our home. We've had 15 now come through our home, and I still have a relationship with everyone. Like, on some level, I have been able to stay connected to each kid that has come into my life. And I'm so fortunate to have been a part of their story.
I love that you still have a relationship, because I mean, obviously we see movies and we hear stories about, kids who go through the foster system who don't have a good experience. So to
Yeah.
me, that speaks volumes, Vanessa, honestly, that they still have a relationship with you because most, I mean, if they're having a bad relationship with someone or have a bad experience, they're not going to keep in touch, right? And it can cause so much trauma and re-trauma moving from home to home that I can't even imagine what they go through. And I part of me wonders if this probably lends into why even more so too, why you're on the path that you're on with this the holistic healing and the trauma release and all of these other modalities that you do provide because you're seeing it live in action in your home through fostering.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've become better parents because of it. I wish that we had access to the training that is provided as foster parents on a world level. I wish that parents who, didn't have a passion for fostering or parents who are just starting out could have access to the resources that we have had because it's taught me that I need to expand my own mindset, that I truly am not in control of everything or all, and that it's okay to release the control that we as adults feel like we need to have and to give that control to the child. Like they are these little human souls and they may have not lived on earth for as long as us, but they know. And I think that children know so much more than us adults most of the time, right? Because, like, they're not jaded, they haven't lived life yet. So when you take a step back and you really listen to what they need, when you really look at the way that their body is telling you that they need something different, it shifts everything for you. So, like, my biological children have benefited from this journey that I've been on with my husband because we shifted and changed the way that we parented. And we're constantly evolving and we're constantly changing. And I really truly wish that we would have more exposure to the differences that can exist between the parent and child relationship.
So, okay, and I don't want to give anything away because we're going to play your talk in just about 3 minutes here or so, but
Yeah.
so because you're a foster parent, that must mean that your life has been perfect up to now and that you had a really wholesome upbringing with, both parents in the home, right? So is that a correct assumption to make?
Oh, totally, Wendy, totally. No, without giving anything away, I had experienced insurmountable amounts of trauma, with my parents, with my family, with choices that I made in life, and I genuinely didn't believe that the foster care system would take me. I was terrified when we went through the interview, and I kept saying, I know this sounds really bad, but I promise I'm not like this anymore. And they told me that I was the perfect candidate. And I mean, I cried before the interview. I told my husband, if we don't get it, it's because of me. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't a good human before now. And they told me that they want the parents who have experienced life and who have gone through traumas. And they want the parents who made bad choices in life because we are the ones who will know more intricately some of the emotions that these children experience or some of what they experienced with their parents. And the understanding that if a child's removed from someone's home, it doesn't always mean it was because the parents were these terrible humans. It just meant the parents didn't have the resources necessary to live life right now, but that they still have an opportunity to heal and to transform, and their story hasn't ended either. So yeah.
That's awesome. And what I love is because it all kind of bridges everything you do together, that we all have a past. We all have things that we haven't done perfectly, including our health and wellness. And it's not too late to start, not too late to start over. And
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I am excited to play your story, your when story for everyone to hear when everything changed for Vanessa Cook. So please stay tuned because you're going to hear her when everything changed moment. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
When everything changed, I was 29 years old. I was a woman, over medicated, angry, and lost in the shadows of her significant health struggles and trauma. I was sitting on the stairs, staring at my hands as I had done every single night, waiting for my husband to come pick me up and carry me to our bed. Why? Because I couldn't stand the notion of fighting against my broken body or lungs for one more moment. So throughout my life, I often envisioned myself in a ridiculous telenovela. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a Hispanic soap opera with a flair for the dramatics. My life seemed utterly absurd. Between my 4'0" father deciding that he wanted to be the next Pablo Escobar, to the constant emotional and physical abuse we went through, to never quite finding the right pastimes in the form of drugs, drinking, partying, to always ending up in the hospital. I mean, I had to be on some silly TV show, right? Like Punk'd. I was ready for someone to pop out and say, "Surprise, you're on our TV show." I could never trust anyone. Every single time I turned around, some other human made me feel less than, like an object that could be thrown away. Like when I was 14 years old and I finally escaped an abusive ex-boyfriend who was years older than me, only to have him rip my virginity away from one stupid mistake. I just had to let him back in my house one more time for closure, you know? Or like when I was 16 and I decided I was going to run away after an excruciating health condition had me down for weeks. You see, I had it all planned out. I was going to run away from home and live happily ever after with my boyfriend. Where did I actually end up? Locked in the basement of a woman who housed runaway teens in Atlanta. I had to pay to stay there, and I had to pay even more to leave. It took me a week before I found enough people to give me the money that I needed to get out of that locked basement. My mother had to take myself and my 3 siblings and escape Atlanta, Georgia, because, my father, Pablo Escobar wannabe, he decided that he was going to screw over someone who was in the mafia. So we wound up in Mauston, Wisconsin, where I continued to make all of the wrong choices. I was the girl who slept with too many boys, couldn't keep a friend to save her life, had this giant chip on her shoulders, and was always sick. Throughout my life, I had all of these bizarre health conditions that left doctors scratching their heads. I felt so unseen. I was dismissed as dramatic. I was labeled by my health conditions, and when doctors looked at me, they just saw this attention-seeking little girl with a file plumb full and dismissed me. They sent me back home, and then they thought, dang, maybe we should have listened to that crazy-haired, tattooed, pierced girl, because here she is, back in our emergency room. I got married when I was 19. I was pregnant by 20 and divorced by 21 with a toddler. I ended up like every single woman before me had, broken, divorced, angry, with absolutely nothing to show for myself. I spent years like this in unbelievable sorrow and anger and hurt and trauma, all of those things, until I found my soulmate. Now, did I greet him with open arms and a big smile? Absolutely not. I made his life a living hell. For years, I couldn't understand why he stayed with me, let alone loved me. I just kept getting sicker and angrier and bigger until that night at 29 years old when I was sitting at the bottom of my stairs. And there I was, waiting for him to pick me up and carry me to our bed, as he had done every single night, despite the state of our relationship. There were times where the only physical contact I had with my husband was when he picked me up. So this night, he was the one who took the first brave step. He laid me down in bed, and instead of turning over and falling asleep like he would typically do, he grabbed my hands. And he looked at me with his eyes filled with tears and with fear. And he said, "I'm afraid I'm going to lose you. And I'm going to be a widower with our 2 kids at 35 years old." And I thought, look at me. I can't even climb up my damn stairs. Am I actually going to die? Do I even want to live? And the answer was a resounding yes. I did want to live. So naturally, I signed up for my first Bluff Mudder with the enthusiasm of someone who thought that mud was just a spa treatment. It turns out it's a 5-mile obstacle course that makes boot camp look like a walk in the park. I mean, who needs a treadmill or a gym when you can climb in and out of dumpsters or through barbed wire fence? I had never even walked 5 miles, let alone run. But there I was, 2.5 hours later, after vomiting several times, a whole lot of crying, and wanting to quit. I crossed that finish line, clinging onto my husband for dear life, bawling my eyes out, and I collapsed. I said I would never do anything like that again. And I remember in the beginning stages of me trying to make a better version of myself, the amount of times that I would feel myself shutting down, whether it was from the pain of fibromyalgia or the feeling like I was never getting anywhere. Like the time I was running as hard as I could, and there was my husband, briskly walking next to me, in a pair of his work boots and his jeans. I took the brave step of seeking therapy and confronting the trauma that had been my silent companion for far too long. And through that healing process, I discovered the transformative power of continued fitness, the nurturing essence of whole foods eating, and the grounding practices of mindfulness. These changes, they weren't just changes, they were keystones for a new foundation that I was building for a life that I deserved. A life where I could move freely, breathe easier, and embrace each day with gratitude. I became a testament to the fact that it is never too late to turn your life around, to step out of that darkness and into the light. So let's take a moment here and think about that Bluff Mudder, right? Because that was a really pivotal time for me. What I realized was it was a metaphor for my life. Those dumpsters, they weren't just dumpsters. They were the dark, confined spaces that housed my fears and my doubts. And emerging out of each one of those was like a rebirth, a small victory in the larger battle that I was fighting. Going through those swamps, each and every muddy step was a lesson in charting a course through the inner wilderness of my mind. The barbed wire was the physical and emotional pain that I had to learn how to maneuver through, protecting and healing myself in the process. And as I ran, or more accurately, stumbled through that course, I realized that that was the moment that I stopped running from my problems and I started running towards solutions. Crossing that finish line and holding on to my husband, that wasn't just for physical support, but a profound thank you for being my rock when everything else felt like quicksand. And in the days that followed, as I nursed my aching body and my bruised ego, I realized that that was it. That was the moment that I was going to start defining myself, not by my medical conditions, not by my past, not by all of the trauma that I had experienced in my life, but by my resilience, by my will to keep going on. Going through therapy, that was incredible. It was like peeling back layers of an onion each and every single time, revealing more about myself than I ever knew existed. And it was hard and it was uncomfortable, but it was so worth it because it taught me that I was more than my past. It taught me that I could forgive myself, that I could forgive the people around me who had hurt me and not hold on to that shame any longer. I wasn't that same 14-year-old girl or 16-year-old girl. I wasn't the one who was a single mom, divorced, or the one who was a terrible parent, or this awful wife. I could be more than that. And what I put into my body was so much more than just eating and nourishing my body. It was a direct reflection of how I felt about myself. It was about honoring my body. So now, am I telling you guys to go sign up for a Bluff Mutter? Am I telling you to go get in and out of those dumpsters? Or that if you just start eating whole foods, your entire life is going to change? Absolutely not. You know, we listen to all of these amazing speakers today, and we have social media and we see all of these beautiful stories, and we try really hard to not let it get to you. And we hear that old adage all of the time, comparison is the thief of joy. And we all understand what that means, but like intricately, do we understand why? And at the level that we're at, it's really simple. It just means that each and every one of us was uniquely and beautifully designed to be on this earth as us and no one else. Do you ever wonder why on social media we're inundated with all of these people who are saying, I have the next diet solution. I have the answer that's going to save your life. Follow me and your autoimmune disease will be cured. And you see these people and they're going on the keto diet and they're going on the carnivore diet, and your friend, she's eating that salad and she's so satiated and she feels great, and you're eating the salad and you feel like you're starving. Why does it work for her? Why did that social media influencer all of a sudden started eating less broccoli and now her autoimmune disease is cured? It's because they did what works for them. What's good for one person may not be what's good for you. Going to therapy was one of the things that brought me healing because I didn't have a voice when I was younger. I couldn't share how I felt. I was wrong. That didn't really happen. They didn't believe me. So I got to speak in front of someone who could understand me and who did believe me. And that was part of my healing process. Now, for someone else, that may not work. So, what works for you? What about you do you need the most? And that sounds so silly, right? Like, how are we going to figure that out? Doing things like practicing mindfulness, being present with yourself, realizing that the food that you put in your body truly is this beautiful, magnificent thing that fuels us, that nourishes us, that honors us. Finding those foods that make you feel good instead of looking for the foods that make you feel tired, that make you feel angry. What does that look like? So for me, I got so lucky because I hopped on the bandwagon. I went on the keto diet. I dropped 50 pounds and I thought that was amazing. I was feeling great. I was healthy. I was running. But then that was it. And I couldn't lose the rest of the weight. And I couldn't quite get healthy enough. And then I found somebody who told me about holistic healing. And I found someone who said, hey, let's pay attention to how your body feels as you're eating these things. When you eat that salad for a week because, hey, that's what you need to do to lose weight, how did you feel an hour after that? Oh, yeah, you're right. I have like no patience. I thought that was just me. No, it wasn't just me. It was that I wasn't honoring my body the way that I needed to. I needed more sustenance. So things like reconnecting with yourself and understanding that you truly can't compare your journey to the next person. You can't do the same thing that someone else does because they're not you. You are this beautiful vessel, and no one else can be on the same journey that you're on. So going back to rediscovering what that looks like for you and what that feels like for you. Now, when we think about 2024 and we think about all of the things that we have done and all of the social media stuff that we're inundated with all of the time, we get overwhelmed, and our bodies aren't made to be overwhelmed in this way anymore. So really getting back out to nature, getting back to yourself, that's what you need to do. Whatever feels good to you, going for a walk, going for a run. So for me, those changes, those keystones, they redefined me and rebuilt me. So here I am 6 years later, and I'm standing in front of you, and I'm not just a survivor. I'm a conqueror. I'm 85 pounds lighter than what I was, but a lifetime lighter than what I was. I no longer need medication anymore. I no longer have fibromyalgia. I no longer have severe asthma, but it took me 6 years of discovering who I am. So, if I can leave you with one message, it's this: the path to wellness, to vitality, it's there for you. And I don't say this to say, look at me. I say this to say, look at you. Look at what you are able to accomplish. Look at what you are able to achieve. Health and vitality and happiness, it's right there for you. All you have to do is take that first step. Keep moving forward until you too cross your finish line. Thank you. Your story